Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Constitutional Convention began. It began with a bunch of smart dudes who understood what was actually going on, and they got together and said, hey, you know what? We're going to make a change.
And if you ask most people, now those people are considered terrorists.
Who
The people
founding fathers?
Oh yeah, you know what they were treasonous terrorists against the King of England. You know what I mean? But fact of the matter is, you know what, they were doing it for the right reasons.
And that's the thing I kind of want to go into is because I know we're talking about the corruption and all this stuff, but like where did it start? Obviously, this didn't start yesterday.
No.
I feel like this has been a plan that has been set for centuries. I mean, this has been the goal of a few people, maybe families, bloodlines, whatever.
Bankers,
but it just seems like, because I always used to question, like, hey, whatever happened to the kings in the castles, and whatever happened to all the peasants and all this thing, and you kind of start looking at history and you start seeing, oh, I see what happened. The kings became presidents and rulers and all sorts of things like that. But what do you guys think needs to be done in America to restore our number one status? And when I say number one status, I don't want to say like money-wise. I just mean it's being respected, because I've actually been in Europe and I did not speak English because people do look at you different. Yep. I was speaking Spanish with my family just because I could speak another language, but it was just funny how their perception of somebody in Europe changes when they hear you speak English.
It's frustrating because over there, we as Americans, when we got our whole tourism thing going on, we go over there and we'll walk up to someone in another country and say, hey, yo, do you know where the hell I'm at?
Do you want to take a selfie?
Yeah, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, personally, I'm not as receptive when someone, like, doesn't even try. Like, if someone, like, comes up to me and is like, do you speak English? I'm like, yeah, I speak English, like, do you speak this language? I'm like, no, let me see if I can help you, though. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Someone just comes up to me and starts rattling off in Spanish or German or French or something. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, get out of my face, you crazy. And we do that to other countries and we do that to other people all the freaking time.
But people love us. I mean, they have McDonald's in their country.
Yeah.
They have Coca-Cola in their country. They must love us. I mean, we must be doing
the size of a large Coke, isn't it? Like
back in the day.
But we must be doing something right in the world, because most people want to come to America. We still have. If I go to Mexico right now, I have tons of cousins and family out there, and they honestly, when I speak about America, it's like I can just see it in their eyes, like it's golden, like. And I try to tell them, like, no, man, like you guys really need to understand, it's deeper than what you see on TV and the whole Hollywood script. Like, it's really tough out there. Like, you literally have to work all day, every day, to pay your rent and to get by. Like, I don't even have kids yet. I'm just like, man, how am I going to do it when I have kids?
I think one of my favorite quotes is, when working no longer becomes a means to economic prosperity, but a means of survival, it is not work, it is slavery.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's absolutely what this is slave labor in America. We are working as a means of survival.
Yep. Just give them enough to survive for the week. Let's give them a little few pennies, but make it.
But some people might argue this. It might be like, okay, well, there's people in other countries who don't have, electricity or water, this, that. They look at Americans as a bunch of complainers. Like, you guys complain too much. Like, you guys bitch and complain about
first
this,
world
about
problems.
That. First world problems. Thank you. That's
but those other countries are being held down by us. Like, that's what we forget to realize. You know what I mean? Is like other countries like are being held down by the corporate.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Of America.
A lot of these third world countries, when they come in business with us, they're thinking they're doing a deal with the devil. They're doing a deal with the devil because they do it on our terms. We're the dominant partner.
Yep.
And they're the minor partner.
We are fortunate to be the slaves. Excuse my word of this, but we're the house niggas. You know what I mean? We're
running it.
We're the house niggers. Like, we're the ones who get.
Now, before we get into some racist shit, let's.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
No. Let me say it.
I'm gonna say there's the field slaves and there's the house slaves.
You're not being racist. There are two different types of slaves back in the day. One was called a house Negro, and then the one in the field was the field Negro. The one in the house was like, we're here for master. When master's sick, we sick. Both of us are sick together.
There we go.
And then the field one was like, I fucking hate that dude. I want to get out of here.
Fuck that guy.
And we got a lot of people like that, that want to just be rich, so they'll do what the hell they're told. And the people that are struggling like us are like, dude, we got no respect for the big corporate monsters.
Yeah. And again, some people still be like, Mike, how you struggling, man? You got an iPhone,
Respect
you
or
got
not,
2 cars, you
not,
got
we're still their
clothes.
slaves.
It's like, what do you mean you struggling? And I don't think some people really truly get it. It's like when I refer to the struggle as real, it's like I'm meaning that like every time I go down to Anaheim when I go to work, I'm seeing more and more homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling more inefficient as an American because it's like, aren't our tax dollars supposed to be helping these people?
Yeah.
There's all this talk about creating shelters and we're going to help these people. No, they
Instead,
haven't
we're
done shit. They haven't done
we're
anything.
outlying the ability to feed these people.
You know, they actually just arrested this like 90-year-old
World War II
priest or a
veteran.
vet that was feeding the
World War
homeless.
II, dude.
Right?
Like,
What is the
fucking
world coming
joke.
to? You can't even give homeless people food and
it's
you get
just
arrested?
pathetic.
That
You know
is
what
crazy.
I mean? Like, that is just pathetic.
It's pretty disturbing to me.
Why did they arrest him?
Because they outlawed feeding the homeless.
You can't do that here.
You know?
That's fucked up, man.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, right?
It's like I've been trying to go out and feed homeless myself. I just went out last Tuesday and it was a wild night. Like stopped a bum fight, like like some crazy other
You mean
stuff.
you didn't videotape it and make money off it?
No, hell no, dude. Like, I don't have a cell phone.
But there's people that do that too. Like
Yeah.
this is the country we live in. It's called
Yeah.
bumfights.com or something like that,
Yeah.
where people go and be like, "Hey, I'll give you some beer if you go beat the shit out of this guy." Like this is the cheap, the cheap entertainment that Americans are getting. Like I just feel like I go on World Star Hip Hop or YouTube, and it just seems like all these people fight. It's like, wow, am I really gonna be able to change these people in America? Am I able gonna have an impact? And I really lose faith because I'm starting to look at all these millennials and all these kids. All they care about is nonsense and bullshit. It seems like.
If you want to make a change, you have to understand at the deepest levels how the changes were made to where we're at now. In order to affect people, you have to realize that there is a current and ongoing action, and therefore, there must and needs to be a current and ongoing reaction. We are that reaction.
And we got to stop fighting over money, man. These big corporations, they're just fighting for money.
Well, we're fighting for debt. There's no such thing as money anymore.
Word. So it's DJ Lou, Mike. We got Steve and Tucker and Chris. Silent Chris. We're going to call you Silent Chris.
Let's call him SK,
SK.
SK,
We got a Steve Jobs picture right here.
Chris is he's listening. I can see it in this guy's eyes right now. He's getting blown away.
He's just absorbing
he's learning it.
And for Steve, it was either Steve Jobs or Steve Urkel. So I had to put a picture up for Steve because he doesn't want to be on camera because he's awesome like that. He's super confidential. I put up to Steve Jobs because that's one of the icons of our time, right? I mean, who else can do something what he did? Touchscreen, glass. Amazing, right?
Yeah,
What's next? Any predictions?
And then you look
Holograms.
Holograms.
Tupac.
I heard.
I've seen that.
Virtual reality.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
you don't have
VR, dude. VR.
Well, you don't have those kind of visionaries in business often. So I mean, he's dead. So where is it going to come from? That's the question. I mean,
I'm going to say this guy right here, Dick Cheney. He's got $400 billion off the profit he made from Iraq. He's going to come up with something sick. Watch. Chips inside of our arms, shit like that.
And you know what? They had a documentary on him, actually. I think it was on Showtime. And I actually watched it because I'm a big fan of watching or reading books of
Why
people
do you
I
think we went to
dislike.
Iraq twice?
Say what?
Money.
I mean, like the first time we went to Iraq,
so
like
Halliburton could make some money, some cash.
Yeah, exactly. The first time, the corporate hitmen, they went into Saddam Hussein. They said, "Hey, you know what? Like, we're gonna offer you this, and you're gonna take it." And he's like, "Fuck off! Like, what are you talking about?" And so they're like, "Hey, you're gonna take it, or you're gonna die." And then we tried to assassinate him a few times, but his security was so tight, and he was a smart dude, and he was a strong guy.
He had clones.
And he led his people, and he had control over his people. And so what did we do for the second time around? We demonized him, and then we said, oh, he's harboring weapons of mass destruction. We used fear.
Hey, how smart is it when you have dudes that look just like you, and you're like, hey, go out there and talk to the people. If you get shot, we'll know someone's trying to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You won't know for sure.
Right?
Yeah, no, for real.
That was a trip. He was smart. He was a smart dude.
He was, absolutely.
Well, what's ironic is that Iraqis say that Iraq was better under Saddam's reign than it is now.
Absolutely.
Some Iraqis.
And you know
some
what?
Iraqis, not all. But
the U.S. government does this. Is what they'll do is they'll pay 1,000 or 2,000 people, and they'll zoom in a close up and make it look like it's the whole country.
Right.
In reality, it's a few hundred or a few thousand.
Well, it's like these polls, when
who are rioting and
when you see these
protesting.
polls online or something, you'd be like 25,000 people. It's like, motherfucker, there's over 300 million. Like, what is 25,000 going to tell me? It's just like, it's crazy.
Like,
Tucker, that's one of the things I want to do for a show is work on manipulation. Teach people how manipulation works, because I can do a bunch of excerpts of me saying, People say I hate gay people. Then you snip out the part that I said people say, and then you're gonna have me saying
I hate gay people.
Right?
Like no,
Teach people
happens
about
all the time. And fact of the matter is like we look at. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Teach people about manipulation at its core because it's everywhere.
But
television, billboards.
Do you think people want the truth, though? Do
you
you
wanna
guys
know what
honestly
that
think
is
people want the truth, or do they want to live in this fantasy that they have in their mind? That's what I think a problem is reaching a lot of these people is they don't want to give up that fantasy and they don't want to accept the truth.
Personally, I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that there is a very spiritual and essential, like at our essence, there is something greater to us as humans, and people, are of the opinion that we're looking for a spiritual awakening as humans, but in reality, I believe that we're humans, that we're spirits looking for a human awakening, and we don't understand our humanity, and we don't understand the great depths of the power.
We don't understand our role in the circle of life with Mother Nature. It's been taken away.
Exactly.
It really
we
has.
don't understand the depth of power that our emotion has. And
I mean, we don't even plant our own food anymore or go hunting.
No.
My biggest thing is knowing the fact that we're in 2014. Mike always stresses the year. When I hear him say that, I go, fuck, we're in the future right now. The future is right now. I'm talking, it's gone. Talking, past.
Exactly. And what you just said 30 seconds ago correlates to what you're about to say right now.
And everything I say, I mean, because I don't like to make things up. Mean what you say. Say what you mean. China still has slaves, bro. Still.
Absolutely.
And their kids.
And not only are they slaves and they are kids, but they're the ones who make the Reeboks on your or in the Adidas.
Makes your phone.
They make your clothes. They make your sunglasses. They make your Dre Beats that you got wearing right now. They make your iPhones.
Everything.
They make your everything.
I was told in China, if you kill yourself, that's the honorable way to go. If you're just not making it in society, just kill yourself. That's the honorable thing to do. Yep. Now they got nets on top of these buildings because people try to jump off and they fall in the net. Yeah. Because time to get back to work. And if you don't work, you don't eat. That's the rule.
Suicidal? Nah, you want to work.
Right.
Exactly. We'll put you on level 1.
It's a crime, dude. It's a crime in America too.
Put him on the first floor.
That's fucked up.
If you try and kill yourself and fail,
you're giving new meaning to the word "time to make the donuts," huh?
I don't get it, Wes.
I never heard that.
You never heard that? That was the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Oh, I thought that was a dig on the police.
No. we don't get that because we don't have Dunkin' Donuts here anymore.
So
they'll be coming back.
In this day and age, we still have slave labor going on in China. Who's stopping them? Who gives a fuck? Nobody. You got prostitution from little girls in the Philippines that are rich white men are going over getting their things sucked. It's like what the fuck?
This is happening here in our soil.
But that's
in
not
America,
news. But that's not news, guys. That's not news.
Well, people just don't care about it.
That's why I love documentaries, and for the people out there that are listening, tune into documentaries, enlighten yourself, turn off the television.
Darren Brown, big name. If you want to learn how the manipulation works, start studying neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. I've mentioned it a few times, but
and to dumb it down for those like myself who don't understand those wording, try to break it down for kids out there, man. Like, how can they learn about the secrets of manipulation?
How can kids learn about it?
How can anyone learn that doesn't have the college degree that we have?
You know what? I don't even have a college degree, dude.
You're a smart kid. You're a smart kid. But you went to school.
I went to community college.
Did
because
you take
I
a
was
critical
smart
thinking class?
I did not.
Wow.
I've never taken
You're
critical
a smart
thinking.
dude,
None
man.
of that. It's all stuff that it's just. I'm
questioning.
I've got an inquisitive mind. I'm the kind of person I see this microphone. I'm like, I wonder if I take this apart, like how everything works.
Exactly.
Like,
break it down.
Like I don't want to just know that I just speak into this little thing that looks kind of like a dick, and then it just makes my voice loud.
How is it happening?
Like what is the actual process all the way down to like the molecular level of how electricity and sound convert into
pretty
each
much
other?
critical thinking.
You know what I mean?
Breaking it down to the molecules.
That's what I do, and that's why I exceed at doing things like troubleshooting and stuff like that, because it's all about the way I look at everything is a way of troubleshooting. What is it doing versus what is it supposed to be doing? Okay, and that's where you find that's where troubleshooting is. It's like, okay, I know what this computer's supposed to be doing, but here's what it is doing.
Yeah. Right.
So you go through like okay, I know the order of operations, how each step is taken for this computer to do what it's supposed to do, but this is what it is doing. So at what point is there the disconnect?
Yeah, and I think most people that I hear is the first thing they say, "Oh, I can't fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't run a mile.
Exactly.
Oh,
you think that
I can't build a website. Oh, it's always You know what I'm saying? I just feel like I hear this from so many different people, and I'm talking about older people, people in my age range, and younger people. It just seems like a reoccurring thing where you should be like, well, let me try.
Yeah.
Let me investigate.
Yeah.
Let me take an approach and see what I can do to it.
And you know what? I think the big problem is the fact that, there's a psychology to that, and the fact that people don't like to fail.
Of course.
And, someone might try something, like, might have the kind of attitude, like, I'm going to try, and if I fail, then I fail, and, then I'll move on to the next thing, But me, I'm going to try, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to try until I get to the point where it's like, okay, it is clear that it is physically impossible for me as my human being. I cannot be a track star. You know what I mean? I can try, and I can run, and I can run, and I can run, but that's just not my body.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect, bro. You have to educate yourself, number one, and to get to strive to want to try to do that is the hardest part because it's all about your development. You know, growing up as a kid, I had a broken family. They broke up when I was 2.
As did I.
Growing up, knowing that my grandma was taking care of me, I had to wear the same fucking uniform. She'd wash it for me because she's a sweetheart, but I had to wear the same uniform.
Shout out to the grandmas who take care.
Whoop, whoop, grandmas.
Yep, that's right.
But just growing up and developing the way that I did, I go, wow, my parents were not there. They were not there to warn me. They were not there to help me figure out what was going to happen in the near future. So it's all about knowing the future.
And fact of the matter is, dude, what you don't realize is that in some aspects you're lucky. Not only did it make you who you are, but the fact that you didn't have the overlords telling you what the best step is for you, and you got to make the mistakes. You got to go down the wrong path at a young age, and you got to go down the right path at a young age.
Someone once told me that your parents are the ones that you look at. If you love them, they're the gods to you, and if you hate them, they're like the devil to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I trip out on that, but what do I know, right?
I love you.
Steve, what about you, man? What do you think about development and what's going on? Can we figure out how to make a difference to the youth? I mean, because it all starts from the bottom, right? I mean, you growing up, your parents didn't speak English.
No, they didn't speak English, of course. They try to instill the values and try to teach you what society is about. So they are they are the face of society to children first.
How did you teach yourself English? That's amazing.
I didn't teach myself English. Remember,
Barney?
Well, you got to understand, we're put through school, right? So they teach English there. I mean, I just learned it through there, but I didn't teach myself. I mean, I'm not
at least you didn't watch it.
I'm not homeschooled.
And if there was one thing that you wanted to learn, since you're a real brainiac, I know you are. I know you're really smart. If there's one thing that you wanted to learn, what would it be?
It's hard to say because there's so many things, right? So when you go through school, you see what you like, and it's kind of all general stuff at school.
Women.
Not very challenging, but you have your interests, so you pursue your interests in that way. You find out what you like.
Because you started with computers when the computer first came out, and it was crap, right? I mean, it didn't have a computer screen.
It was different. It was completely different. I mean, there's no such thing as a mouse. It's not a visually graphic user interface. It was mostly typed, so it was the languages you
Could you
put in
imagine?
commands. Yeah.
Like, why does the F5 key refresh? Is it just, like hardwired in there to refresh the web? No, it's programmed in that this key does this action. You know what I mean? It's all script, and see, that's kind of where there's a disconnect between, like that's a great example. Is like most people are just like, oh, F5, okay, it refreshed, yay. And then me, I'm like, why the fuck did it do that? You know what I mean? How come it doesn't do that when I hit F4? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and we got to start thinking in those ways. We got to start thinking outside of the box, and I think that the biggest part of it is
teachers got to stop having sex with students and actually teach.
I mean, it depends on how hot that. That is wrong in all ways.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
One thing I want to bring up really quickly is this Wonder Pill that they've been talking about. Actually, Will Smith came out on an interview, and you guys know Will Smith, right? Men in Black and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's called Neuro 3X. You guys ever heard of this?
Yeah, actually, I was doing some reading on.
You guys ever watched that movie Limitless?
Limitless, yeah.
Limitless.
It's like
okay,
a mild
it's something
version of that.
Well, supposedly you're supposed to be able to take a pill, and it's just like it makes your brain absorb. You could learn. You're not distracted. It's like
in reality.
Adderall.
It's exactly, and it's just.
Doesn't fish oil do that, Steve?
Well, they say that stimulants in general, as long as you don't go over a certain point, makes you more alert and awake and more focused.
Yeah, that's what it's saying it
helps
does.
to connect.
Is there GMOs inside? Sorry.
No, it helps to connect the different neurons. Like we think that it's just like this, but in reality it's like this, and then up here, and then down here, and then over here.
Well, what is it? They claim that we use like less than 10% of our brain or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they claim, right? Something like that.
Well, you have to use a low percentage of your brain, because think of it this way: if you just jolted your computer with a jolt of electricity, you're going to burn every chip in there, because you're using 100% of the computer.
Yeah, like if you put too many watts in your power supply, say you need 700 watts, you put 1,000 watts, that motherfucker's going to explode.
And by that same analogy, I'm saying there are people who use 100% of their brain, but they're having a seizure or they're being electrocuted.
You know what I mean?
So is that what it is? Because I've never understood that.
It's very bad for the brain. Basically, you'll stroke out.
Like if for the computer nerds out there, if any of you are listening, it's kind of like overclocking your brain. You know what I mean?
Where it's
like
going faster. But
exactly. Our CPUs, you get a CPU out of a box and it might be 3.4 gigahertz, and you're like, okay, well that's as fast as it can go, right? Like, no, that's probably like a lot slower than it can go. It's just the fact of the matter is once you heat it up and you're adding more to it, you're heating it up and it's not able to cool itself, and it's not able to maintain that as medical term, homeostasis. It's not able to.
And that's a great metaphor, right? Our brains are like computers.
Absolutely.
I hear Lou say this all the time.
That's my motto.
That's this guy. This is the guy who kind of opened that door for me. Is computers and everything else.
Isn't it funny when you're wearing, like Mike's wearing a hat right now? He's got the headphones on. All that heat's going to his head. Yeah. When I'm escaping. When I'm at my house, the heat just rises and I get irritated. Yep. Like the computer. I just want to crash. You just want to start breaking things. I'm just like pissed, Yep. And right now, my computer has like a fan on it that's just blowing on that shit.
There's actually a patent. Excuse me for a second. There's a patent for invoking emotions in people from their computer screen by changing the frequency of the way that the computer screen projects. And basically what it does is creates a magnetic field. That magnetic field, you can manipulate the human mind with it, and there is a real patent for that.
And there's probably stuff like that on TV, right? That's why our attention spans are shit these days, because back in the day, I remember watching a sitcom. They would just focus on the person.
Yep.
He would say his line, maybe another line, maybe another line. Now it's like says a line, boom, 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 boom. They're just constantly changing, even commercials on everything. And it's just like, that's how it's easy to invoke all this fear.
If you count in general, movies, all this stuff, they never stay in the same frame for more than about 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they teach them to do this in film school and stuff like that. I remember, being taught that when I was in 8th grade by my drama teacher.
Well, you got to compete with the cell phone in their pockets, right?
Exactly. You have to keep the people interested in order. Like, here's the thing: they're finding new ways to keep the people interested, because what they're keeping them interested in is poisoning their minds. And the fact of the matter is people have a short attention span. If they get bored of the poison, they're going to start going to the cure. You know what I mean? We got to keep them interested in the cure, and that's what we're trying to do. It's like, this is the cure, guys. Let's find ways to make it interesting and funny. That's why we put in, the sound overs with the laughter and the jokes and everything else. We're trying to present this which is a very serious subject in a way that is understandable for the masses.
Yeah, of course.
It's like computer science in our brains. It's a trip.
It is.
Cognitive dissonance?
Yeah.
What is that?
Cognitive dissonance. Okay, so basically, like, from what I know about like cognitive behavior stuff is it's training the mind. Okay, it's kind of like anchoring. Like you might, like, for me, I've anchored the motion of doing this with my hands to actually that feeling of happiness and euphoria, and like so whenever I'm feeling down, you'll see me and I'll just be like, all right, like, let me just sit here and just do this. And as I'm doing this, it's my mind is trained that when I'm doing this, it's supposed to feel happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can.
That's crazy you say that, because I know people that without them knowing, like girls, they just start playing with their hair or start twirling their hair or start doing some certain thing. Or I tap my toes a lot. I'm just kind of like this all the time. Or I'll do inside of my shoes. I'm tapping my toes where nobody can see, but it makes you feel good.
Exactly.
Or at ease.
And this is anchoring. This is NLP. This is And you know, you look at like one of the ways that we help drug addictions is through quote unquote cognitive behavioral therapy. And what it's doing is they're in there and they're training your mind, and they train your mind to think in a different way. Like when you're like, man, I really just want to shoot up some freaking heroin right now, or I just want to like smoke some meth, you know, like they're like, okay, like when you have those thoughts, sit there and calm yourself, and then what you're gonna do is
count to 10.
just think to yourself, count to 10, and on the number 1 you're gonna say I, on the number 2 you're gonna say don't, and then on the number 3 you're gonna say do, and on number 4 you're gonna say drugs. Number 5 is any more, you know what I mean? And it's actually, so as you count, you relate number 1, I, 2, don't.
You're reprogramming your brain,
drugs.
Essentially,
Exactly.
is what you're doing. Is you're reprogramming.
Wow.
There is programming. That's why I'm encouraging you and all of the listeners and everyone, start looking up neuro-linguistic programming. It will change your life. It will allow you the ability to reprogram your own brain as well as to help other people
reformat.
And did we learn a lot of this stuff by
in
all those
ways.
people that went to the psych wards and all these loony bins?
I've heard about neuralistic
it's
linguistic
considered
programming.
it's considered a pseudoscience by many in a lot
well,
of ways.
I've heard it from a group of pickup artists in Los Angeles.
It is used. It is used. You know what? They're just. You know what? And it's also used by the big guys who are controlling us. It's the act of, like, what we don't realize is that our subconscious controls our thoughts. There are 10 subconscious thoughts that we don't hear in our head before we have a thought. You know what I mean? And NLP is, how do we, like, what's the thought process behind you saying and doing and feeling what you're saying, doing, and feeling?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
I was going to say, basically what NLP is it's the study of successful people. And, I mean, neuro, brain, linguistic, words, and programming.
Cool.
Yeah.
It trips me out when I'm driving down the road and I'm with my brother and sister who I'm taking care of, and I see a billboard that says, a strip club's coming up, and there's a woman on it, and I'm like, I don't even want them to see this, because I know in the back of their head, hey, that brought something into their eyes that's going to leave information in there that later on, they're developing these hormones, and then they're showing it everywhere you go.
And as young children, them seeing that kind of thing, and the exposure to that has extremely long-lasting effects, in my opinion. Fact of the matter is, they see that and they start to what do we covet? We covet what we see every day, and as you start to see these photoshopped beautiful models from a young age, and you see that kind of thing on a daily basis. And in case you guys were wondering, that was actually a quote from the Hannibal Lecter movie. Shit, was called Silence of the Lambs. but it's true. We covet what we see every day. And so we begin to, like young men, we begin to sexualize those things because we're given this object of beauty in a sexual way. That's why
Carl's Jr. has all those models eating the burgers.
That's why exactly, and that's why men have this objectification of women sexually. That's why men have these high standards for what beauty of they want from their women. That's
Check
why.
this out, Tucker. Do you think this is real?
Photoshop? It wouldn't
no,
surprise
it's not
me.
Photoshop. That's makeup.
Oh, that's just makeup?
Okay, what about Kim K?
Like I said, Kim K is not my thing.
But I'm
she's
saying
Photoshop.
Oh yeah,
is she really this fat?
No, yeah, dude. Are you kidding me?
I don't watch TV.
Dude, she's a thick girl. You ever seen it? Like, if
she's
you
really
want,
short, too.
if you want to see what she looks like in real life, I'm never gonna say this again. Look at the Inquirer. Okay, look at the tabloids, because the tabloids don't Photoshop. They like it when these bitches look ugly. Okay, they fucking love it because it's like, look how beat we caught her.
The thing is that they're normal. They're just normal, like fucking everybody else, man.
Kim Kardashian's known for her big butt. The joke that's going around with her latest photo shoot where she's showing her butt is basically they were trying to put a pair of BVDs on them, and basically when she put it up to her waist, it actually spelled Boulevard.
Wait, what?
That's the joke of how big her butt is. Basically.
Okay.
BVD to Boulevard. Well, that's the joke.
You know what's crazy to me though is like, okay, so you have her, exposing herself, whatever. Yet they still want their privacy. That's the funny thing.
My question is, when the fuck is the last time you've seen a dick just hanging out in a magazine? You know what I mean? You don't
it's
see
acceptable,
it.
right? And it's making the front
people
page.
Would see that, and that magazine would not sell shit.
Well, hold on. You just struck a chord, because every time they're in these videos, they're basically like a porno. Have you seen the one with what's her face? My Anaconda, whatever.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
She looks like a stripper, bro, who can rap. Okay, whatever. But
Can't write it.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about
songs are written.
the near future. They're going to be basically having dicks in their mouth because you have to keep lowering yourself to a new level.
Exactly.
They're basically
it's like
naked now.
Exactly. It's like one of the ways that rapists and serial killers and things like that. One of the things is the fact that it escalates. It starts out, like you hear all the time, like killing little animals and stuff like that.
Trying to see how far they could get.
Exactly, and then the killing the animals becomes boring to them. It's like, oh, this is the same shit. It's like,
been there,
let me
done
kill
that.
something bigger. Like, let me torture this cat, and then next thing you know, they're beating up, little kids, and then, next thing you know, there they are. They've killed someone or they've raped someone, and I think that they are a product, unfortunately and sadly, of our society in the way that we objectify human beings rather than, connecting and emotionally realizing that these are also humans, not objects.
Right. We are like animals. I think we are animals, right, Steve?
Yeah.
And they pull out the senses of like the animal behavior. Like we're horny, we get excited. We want it. And then when
Everyone
you
gets
introduce that, when you introduce that to kids, it's like they're developing that type of hormone, and then suddenly it's everywhere. There's boobs everywhere. There's naked women everywhere. What are you gonna do? You're gonna get excited.
They consider those drives, as you know, and they scientists have simplified it very simply as the 4 Fs, right?
Okay.
Feeding, what is
Fucking.
it? Feeding, flight, fight, and of course, sex.
Fornication.
Right, the 4 Fs.
Oh, I used the wrong F word.
Yes, you used the wrong F word.
That was the most common one.
I would be terrible if this was like an actual radio broadcast.
They'd
They'd
be-
be in here
This
like
is an
knocking on our door.
This is an actual radio broadcast.
Oh, so I can listen to this in my car, like as a radio?
Yeah.
The difference
Oh,
is that we don't have any corporate sponsors, so we could say whatever we want.
Yeah.
pretty much.
We're like Joe Rogan. We just do what we want.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I fucking love Joe Rogan.
Independent, man.
In that case, fuck yeah.
Hey, one thing I want to say
very
though
smart
before
guy.
about the the GMOs kind of goes hand in hand. What about like I don't know if you guys read A Brave New World in high school. I know it was required as our curriculum, but pretty much in A Brave New World they're making babies in beakers. Where nowadays it seems like you can pretty much clone anything and make anything. How do you guys feel about that? Like a genetically modified organism, obviously that could be applied to humans as well, right? Since we are living organisms.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually still own a human being.
How is that?
Well,
Marriage.
like I said, you're not allowed
Marriage.
to. You're not allowed
Right
to
here.
actually own. You can't patent a organism, an existing one. But if you genetically modify it enough that it's different from the original, then it can be patented. So a lot of these universities have been collecting cancer cells from patients without the patient's knowledge, and since the cancer cells seem to have interesting properties, like they're immortal and they keep living forever, they keep dividing and they just go on and on. What they've done is they've taken their cells and said that basically it's genetically different enough that we could patent it. And
Was that the HeLa cell you were referring to before the show that you're talking about? Can
That's
you go
correct.
into a little bit more about that just so we
Yeah,
can...
please, I'm
University
actually
of
very
California,
interested,
the University of California actually owns
So
the
that's
cells of a couple
Berkeley,
of people.
right?
Yeah.
That's Berkeley? Okay.
Well, all of them.
All of them?
That
Okay.
would be UCLA, Berkeley. That's the Regents is the governing
But
board
they
that
didn't
owns it.
create the cell. How do they
No.
claim
Patent it.
patent over?
Yeah,
They're,
that's
they're
what I'm
claiming a
saying.
patent because it turned into a cancerous cell, and
Yeah.
the genetics of it is slightly different from the original person.
But
they could-
it came from that person.
That's
Like,
correct.
I would think that if anyone were to have the right to the patent, it would be the
And
the
that
human.
was in a
It was a lawsuit?
It was in a lawsuit called Moore versus the Regents of the UC because this guy named John Moore, basically, he had his leukemia cells harvested at UCLA, and they
with or
decided
without his knowledge.
without his knowledge, and basically they patented it and started selling it, and Moore decided, well, those are my cells, they're my property, so why aren't I getting in?
Break bread.
Yeah, exactly. Why
Profit.
was I charged, thousands of dollars for the treatment and they're making profit?
Well,
You know what I mean?
the court ruled that basically that it's discarded human parts, so it doesn't belong to him anymore. So UCLA was able to patent that.
Wow,
as
that is
cell line.
crazy.
So UCLA owns part of Robert Moore.
Was that just regular court or like a Supreme Court ruling?
It went all the way up. As
Supreme
far as I
Court?
heard,
I'm guessing-
California Supreme Court.
I'm guessing it would something like that would go somewhere pretty
I
high.
completely disagree with what you just said. I mean, that's not right. People are people, you know. It's totally.
But they're doing it. That's the thing is that we're saying is that it is being done. They are patenting things, you know. Just kind of goes with GMOs and Monsanto.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could actually clone a whole person out of his cells, the cancer cells. I don't think it's viable, but I mean, technically, you know, this is where it could go to. They could create another Robert Moore and say we own him.
We can clone sheep. Why can't we clone people? I mean, China
we
doesn't follow.
We absolutely can. It's not that we can't. It's that we don't.
Wow, how do you know? How do you know?
You know, I don't.
China probably does because they don't follow the rules.
And you know,
they don't follow the rules.
Maybe
but
they
Americans
do follow the rules. Maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. Maybe maybe
it's all propaganda.
Because it benefits America for us to think that these countries are inferior to ours.
Exactly, and that's why people still think America's
human
great.
than ours.
Yes.
Then they're able to demonize it. It leaves the alley open for war.
Yeah.
You know, it's
get closer to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, we dehumanize our enemies, and this is a long-standing history with United States war propaganda. We dehumanize them. They're not people. They're terrorists. They're not, you know, they're not people. They're Nazis. They're you know, pictured as pigs and animals, and they're you know, it's their way of life is inferior, and they want to and they're jealous of us, and they want to destroy our way of life because of it. And in reality, it's the fact of the matter is that we've been going over there, we've been killing their people, we've been plundering their goods, we've been, you know, destroying their cultures, and all of this simultaneously. I'm sorry, but it doesn't surprise me that there are these extremists.
I was actually listening to radio. What goes hand in hand with what you're saying is false flags terrorism.
False flags, exactly.
False flag all day.
You know what? You know what? I actually I can't confirm this, but I read a report recently that there's an upcoming drill program for an Ebola pandemic in New York City. So, you know, and it's
sponsored by FEMA or who?
FEMA, the United States government. They've got like actors and
you know
all
what
kinds of other stuff. So, you know, if it's all of a sudden everyone's freaking out that Ebola is going down in New York, you know what? I'm calling it out right now. It's bullshit, and you guys need to wake the fuck up.
Word.
Well, they did get a patient there. The doctor Craig Spencer. So it did happen.
Say.
Yeah, they got a patient. We're out in Texas who just
they weren't prepared in Texas. So they got a small outbreak.
So you guys just believe whatever you're told, huh?
The thing is, I still question all that shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I question all, and you know what? Some people are like, "Oh, well, what do you believe? You have to." It's like, yeah, I do, but I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying, well, fuck, show me. Like, I started, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like a lot of times I was watching on YouTube where they're saying, like, yeah, the reporters look like they're there live in, like, the wars. It's a fucking green screen, bro. And they started exposing all these different outlets from Fox all across the board. Everybody is just a green screen. And they make it seem like, oh, there's live blast and shows. Like, dude, it's a fucking green screen. You're inside of a fucking studio. Like, come on. Like, we're lying to everybody at every point in time. We can't. It's kind of like that movie Wag the Dog. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. Wag the Dog. Pretty much the premise of it is creating a war that didn't actually exist. But then at the end of the movie, like, supposedly the war actually does happen. Like, and they're just doing it for, like, the polls and trying to get elected and whatnot.
Hashtag 9/11.
Thank you. Exactly. Well, the reason I want to bring up the false flag, because it seems like in America, have we been attacked since 9/11 by any terrorists?
No.
Have we?
No, we haven't needed to be.
Okay, but this is the funny part, is that so many people have been arrested as being linked to Al-Qaeda or something. Yeah. But the thing is, the FBI was going into vulnerable groups and saying, hey, we'll give you $50,000, but hey, you got to say this excerpt from the Quran. All right, yeah, you know, let's say this. And they're going to people that are mentally challenged. Damn. And then they're saying, hey, we stopped this from happening. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, you stopped it because you created it. Exactly. And you went in there and you stopped it. Of course it's going to look good for you, you know?
It's a well-known
and this is happening everywhere since the beginning of time for America.
And, you know, it's a well-known fact, you know, but I don't think people kind of want to accept the fact that what happened on 9/11, the way it was said it was happened, is not possible.
Uh-oh, here we go.
It's not, you
Alex
know,
Jones.
and I don't want to get like too into it, but it's like they're right. Thermite from steel could not have been created by jet fuel. It's like trying to light. It's like trying to melt a copper pipe with a Bic lighter. It's not possible. Butane's not going to get hot enough like that to melt that pipe.
And,
Doesn't matter how
and not
long
only
you
that,
hold
get
it there,
those
you know?
clean cuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Those
And-
super clean,
and-
crisp cuts.
And to top it all, what about the third building? I mean,
There was
CIA
absolutely
building,
no
right?
reason. There was absolutely no reason, and you really think that it's coincidence that the spot which held the records of the what was it, $2 trillion or something like that went missing,
being investigated,
just
yeah.
MIA, just went missing, and that spot that contained all of the vital information to figuring out where it
Not
went
only
was-
that, where was the
was
plane
hit
that
by
hit
a
the
plane.
Pentagon? Where was
Exactly.
the plane?
Where's
Have you seen
the
the
debris
pictures?
from the plane that went down in Pennsylvania? You know what I mean?
Where
Like,
are the
where's
black boxes?
Exactly. Where are the black boxes? Where is everything? You know what I mean?
But they found a
did
passport
it
in
take
crisp
over-
condition at the
why
bottom.
did it,
So
why did it
Confirmed.
confirmed.
Why did it take like 7 days for there to be a congressional committee to investigate the Monica Lewinsky Bill Clinton sex scandal, but over a fucking year for there to be a congressional committee to investigate 9/11? There's too many questions.
And how do you explain the molten lava type
yeah,
stuff
the-
that was
the thermite. That's the
the
thermite.
thermite that
It's-
was
it's
underneath for
C4.
weeks?
There was explosions. If you look at the tapes, you see smoke rising from the ground from the basement of the World Trade Center because there was a bomb that went off in the basement
And
moments before.
One thing you said earlier too is about like FEMA is gonna do this Ebola thing. That same day they were having drills
for all of this,
attacks on the
exactly.
Pentagon
Why,
and the world.
why did it take so
Exactly.
long? Why were there no fighter jets sent out to stop this? Why?
What do you guys believe about Sandy Hook? The reason I bring up Sandy
You know
Hook
what?
is because
I don't want to talk about Sandy Hook
Yeah.
simply because of the fact that I don't know it. There is a lot of evidence saying that this is false.
I want to bring up one fact that
FBI
the
report.
FBI report stated that 0 people
Also,
were killed in
yeah,
Sandy Hook.
But here's the thing:
Crazy,
if you also look, you would think that it would be the same thing for like Columbine and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but or that it would be different for shootings like Columbine
Yeah.
and everything else, but it's the same. So I don't like. There's evidence
Who
going
knows,
both
right?
ways, and I personally don't speak on that subject just because of the fact that if it is real,
Yeah.
which there is still a very strong possibility that's real. There are people out there who are in immense amounts of pain
Oh,
that,
of course.
that we can't even imagine, and I would hate
Yeah.
to.
And I
say
brought that up
didn't
prior.
happen.
I brought that up prior to where
Yeah.
I was like, if it did, it's horrible. It's disgusting. The reason I bring it up is because I'm going into another topic of where you could hire actors.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the Boston Marathon and
Yeah.
whatever else, where you could hire actors, and people are like, "Oh, you're being a conspiracist." It's like, no, this is true because
Yeah.
you start looking, and people look very similar that were in certain scenarios or in the same fucking place for the Sandy Hooks, for the Boston. So it started making you question. And then not only that, the green screens too, because I was watching a lot of stuff, and I mean, I don't know, dude. I still question the stuff I'm watching and reading, but it just goes to show you like the length of the intricate plot that they have to really try to persuade your mind. And if it did happen, fuck, dude, like I feel horrible about it, like, but the reason I question it is just because like, how is this FBI report coming out saying that nobody died? It's just, it kind of, you know what I'm saying?
There was
It's
some.
just-
I read something, coming from FBI or something else. I haven't done much research on it in the last couple of months, so it's a little bit hazy. But from what I read, there was something. It was something about the fact that it was an active mass shooter and something like that. But it's all sketchy, dude. There's a lot, and
it kind of goes with the shooting, the Batman shooting in
Yeah.
Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like there's more problems here on our own domestic U.S. soil than there is I know there's problems in the rest of the world, but it's like, why the fuck can't we worry about ourselves?
Well, let's talk about that
Why
kid
is
that
it?
did shoot up the theater. Do you guys believe in hypnosis? I'm gonna start with you, Steve. Do you believe you can be
hypnosis.
hypnotized?
Of course, you could be hypnotized.
Mike, do you think you can be hypnotized?
Yes, I've seen it.
Tuck,
to a certain extent, yes,
Chris?
but it's more of a trance in my opinion.
Yeah, it's more of a trans.
brainwash, some type of.
I
Definitely.
think
Yeah.
that there is definitely it's not even a thought. It's a fact that brainwashing is real.
Look at the people in North Korea.
But to its extent,
I
to the
mean, shit.
extent of what you can get people to do who you've brainwashed, how much brainwashing it takes. I haven't seen personally any evidence of brainwashing or anything like that from him. That or that situation. To be
Dude,
honest,
have you seen him in court? His eyes look all bugged out, man.
Different guy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
It's the wrong fucking
I'm
guy.
gonna tell you the
What
power
happened?
of the power of brainwashing. I don't like McDonald's, and the other day
you
I
still
went,
eat it.
I went in there and buy a
I-
hamburger for some reason. I
I
didn't like it.
fucking
Yeah,
hate
I
the
hear
taste
you.
of McDonald's. But right now, just talking about it, I'm like, damn, dude, a fucking
Big
double
Mac.
quarter pounder with ketchup and cheese sounds so dang great now.
What else could that be except brainwashing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
And how could you avoid it with all the commercials our whole life? I mean,
but-
how many McDonald's commercials have we all seen?
A lot
Combined,
I think.
thousands.
I think it's deeper though.
Fuck this shit.
I think it's addiction. You know,
It is absolutely.
cigarettes were nobody knew that they gave you cancer until research started showing people are dying. People are dying because of this stuff. People are dying because of obesity. Like this food is it's not just a brainwash. It's an addiction.
I see pot on the screen.
It's in our blood. Yeah, this little thing. I was trying to type in MK Ultra because that's a big word a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not too familiar.
Well, that's pretty much the military's program for brainwashing.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, that's the military. MK Ultra was declassified. Yeah, I think what was it? 30s to the 50s or something.
Okay,
like
was
that
that the program that where they developed the LSD and the other?
I think so. Yeah, where they were testing all sorts of different
interesting
drugs.
fact. I believe that what they found during the studies of psychedelic drugs such as psilocybin, if I said that right, aka magic mushrooms, LSD, stuff like that. Shrooms. No, basically, there's studies that have just recently come out on shrooms specifically was the one that I read, and they found that it actually hyperconnects the neurons within your brain, and that hyperconnectivity.
Doesn't it make your brain bleed supposedly or some shit like that?
I've never heard that.
Steve, can you confirm?
I don't know too much about psychosilium except that it does create hallucinations, as far as I know. Other than that,
but I mean, there's like people think that like hallucinations, have you done it at all? Like people
I have.
think okay. So like I mean, people think
Multiple
like,
times.
I'm gonna eat some mushrooms and then I'm gonna think this knife is a lollipop and I'm gonna fucking suck on it. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's not like that.
No, it's not like that. It's like you look around and it opens your mind.
First, this is how it is. You're there.
Be close to the mic.
It opens up
It does.
possibilities that you didn't think were possible, and not just visually, but like or
Mentally.
even the high, but it's just the thought process that goes on. It's just like I sat there and I wrote down some of the shit that I was like thinking about like immediately after the next day, and then I went back like a week or two later and I read it and I'm like, holy shit, dude, how smart am I? Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even realize this stuff, you know what I mean? And it was so articulately written that I impressed myself. And, like, there were so many well thought out, things that on there that I'm like.
I think what happens when you're on that, when you're on shrooms, is that like you just start connecting one thing to another. We could be in a conversation. Oh yeah, green. Oh yeah, what's green? Marijuana. Oh hemp.
Yeah.
Oh, who makes hemp? Oh, DuPont. Oh, DuPont
Exactly.
plastic.
And,
it just
and
you
the
connect
study found,
all these things.
Exactly. That's one of the things that the study found is that
keep going.
you start to relate things to other things, like the number green.
The number green.
Yeah, the number green. And you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to you now, but then you do it and you're like, oh, like I look at the color green and I for some reason think of the number 6. And so then you've now come up with the number green.
What's up?
No, but shrooms is it's really crazy. I don't condone drug use to anybody. I don't.
It is,
the one thing I do say, if you are gonna do shrooms, do it with somebody you trust. Don't drive. Do it in an area where you have plenty of room. Don't be in any areas that are small, like a closet or a bathroom.
I don't condone.
Those are just personal suggestions.
I don't condone.
Don't shoot guns while you're on it.
It's not so much that I don't condone. I don't condone the abuse of drugs.
Oh yeah, abuse. Moderation.
You know what I mean? If you're going to try something like this, do it in a safe place where you're not going to be interacting with other people. You're going to be interacting with yourself, with your immediate surroundings, and a close friend who is there to take care of you. And
have water, because that's the only thing that can kill it is water.
Exactly.
That's it.
Xanax actually kills
Xanax?
it. If you're like freaking out, Xanax will help you out with that. But let's get away from the topic of drugs, just simply because of the fact that there's too much abuse of drugs.
But do you think that hallucinations? Do you think that any of these commercials or anything on this TV could make us hallucinate or make us feel like release endorphins or make us feel better?
Absolutely. That is the essence of marketing. Okay, take for example instant cakes. All right,
instant cakes?
Yeah, like the boxes with the cake with the powder and everything.
Gotcha.
You just pour it in, crack an egg, add some water, right? When those first came out, okay, it was just add water. Sales tanked. They did horrid. Those products were not at all wanted. Now, so what they realized, so they started asking the people, who they were trying to market it to. They're like, why don't you want to buy this? They're like, it seems fake. It's too easy. It's not real. Like, I don't feel like it's a homemade thing, you know? So they're like, okay, well, you know, let's go ahead and make it so that you now have to add eggs. So they started adding eggs as well as water, and what do you know? Those are now, you know, the most popular way to make a homemade cake is with those boxes.
And still to this day.
Still to this day, it's the most popular way to make a home. Like when you're like, oh, hey, I'm gonna make a cake. You know, like you go up to the store, you buy some Betty Crocker chocolate
and
cake.
you're crazy because it is all about appearance. Because there's a show, I forget what it's called, but there's this guy that goes into a business and he looks at their product and says, well, if you used a clear plastic thing and this, you know, attract more people, look more good to eat or whatever it may be. But yeah, there's a lot of psychology and me personally, I'm not an impulse buyer, but I know tons of people that are impulse buyers. There's tons of people who are like me. I've always wanted a pair of Beats by Dre, and I just know that I get to
your own.
I know I get to. Hey, but you know what? I get to use a pair when I come to the show, so I'm all good with it.
You only had 4 when we got here.
I counted 5, motherfucker.
You know what's funny? The first day when we were here, remember one fell and the guy was trying to come up on it, the security guard?
Oh, yeah. He's like, here, let me get those. I'm like, what?
Like, for free?
He's like, I want it for how much? I'm like, no, peace.
Sorry.
Right,
how much? I don't know. Ask the store where you're gonna buy them from.
$300.
Too crazy. Shit, what about that
but
Rockstar right there, man?
In all honesty, like
what made you want to buy that Rockstar?
I was fucking tired and the coffee's nasty.
Did you guys recently hear about the lawsuit against Red Bull?
Oh yeah, with the semen and the sorry, that was a different lawsuit.
This one where they're saying that it doesn't give you wings.
Yeah, dude.
I've
got my free $15 worth of Rockstar or Red Bull on the way.
Yeah, but they actually won. The guy actually won, and he's getting a settlement.
Misleading advertising.
Misleading, but I feel like everything is misleading these days.
Well,
like,
you can't do that in terms of saying that it gives you a health benefit.
Yeah.
If it's
without
false,
backing it up.
it's got to do it. If it doesn't do it, then the FDA can go after.
Kind of like a Xenadrin or a diet pill or something, right? You have to have some sort of evidence. But how is it that a lot of
those
these
backings are,
they're very loose, right? I mean,
they're not only loose, they're fucking falsified,
right?
You know what I mean?
Because you can find a doctor,
and that's exactly why there's the disclaimer on all of them is that there's bullshit studies and the disclaimer of individual
FDA
results. Individual results may vary.
Well, they're worried about snake oil salesmen. There used to be these carnival people that sold snake oil, basically did nothing, but they would claim that it would do these great...
Make your hair grow.
Yeah, well, give you wings, for example. So that's what they're trying to get away from because, you know, what does that mean? It gives you wings. It gives you a health benefit?
You can fly?
No. But you get Red Bull now. I mean, you can get 1 or 2 cans or something.
You get $15 worth of free Red Bull.
Or you can get free Red Bull,
on that, or you get like a $10 gift card, like, you know what I mean?
Yo, but seriously, Tuck, you gotta get rid of that shit, bro. Not here. I'm not saying for your life, bro.
Oh,
Stop
yeah,
drinking
absolutely.
Take care of your health, bro. But we got 7 minutes left on the show, or 8 minutes.
One thing I want to touch real quick.
Go ahead, man. You've been cutting me off this whole time.
No, on the Monster. Did you see that video about Monster?
Oh, the Monster.
The one about Satan?
Oh, the 666, and the Hebrew letters, and the cross with the circle and all that other stuff. Speaking of that, I actually find it really interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty dope.
I personally am Christian. However, I feel that people don't realize.
That's what I was gonna get to. Religion.
Things like Christianity's Christmas. Christmas is December 25th.
Thanksgiving does not exist. Straight to Christmas after Halloween.
Why is that?
Okay, so let me explain something. The December 25th is actually a holy day for pagans. Yeah. People don't realize that, but during the establishment of the Roman Catholic Church, they had to find a way for Christianity to appeal to the pagans, because at the time there were massive wars going on in the Roman Empire between pagans and Christians, and it was a big battle. And people don't realize that's actually supposed to be the winter solstice and all that other stuff. And yeah, there's the conspiracy of the 3 kings, Orion's belt, also known as the 3 kings that line up, in the sky and all that other stuff. And Easter is actually another big thing because that's like the spring and everything like that, and it's
the resurrection of Christ.
What are you getting at?
Resurrection. Well, you have the Holy Trilogy there. You've got Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and Jesus.
What I'm getting at is that the establishment of Christian symbolism.
Get closer to the mic, bro.
the establishment of the well-known Christian symbolism that we see today is a result of appeasement for the pagans during the establishment of the Roman Catholic Church. It's one of the main reasons why I don't support the Roman Catholic.
So are they behind GMOs too?
No, not at all. But I mean, like, even so much as if you notice, a lot of times in Catholic artistic expressions of Christ, you'll see his face with the cross and the circle, which is actually a shorthand version way of showing the four directions, and it's a pagan symbol.
You lost me.
You know what I mean? It's there's so much.
Well, he's saying
symbolism.
it's a Celtic symbol, they were pagans.
Oh,
yeah,
that's where it began.
So you're in a cult then?
No, not at all. Not at
No,
all.
there was some sort of emergence there. I mean, the pagans did have a cross in a circle, but the thing is, where the Christians get it was from the torture implementations that Romans used, where they actually crucified people on a cross.
But there was no circle on Christ's cross.
But getting crucified was like normal back in the day, right?
That was like
there was a lot of
it's a method of torture,
and humiliation.
Right? But it was rampant, not just like Jesus was the only one.
No, people forget that there was actually two other people crucified
with
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There's thousands of people that were crucified. That was the method of execution.
Like at the same time.
So do you guys think that religion could solve all the problems we've been talking about, or what?
This Monday, we're going to do a show on religion, and this is good to bring the intake in because I have a lot of friends. Eddie, one of them, Mike's good friend, is like really atheist, so he wants to break down.
You know what? I would love to come in, and I would actually love to hear that because personally, I'm.
Well, you can hear it on the internet.
He makes some good points, but I mean, we respect his opinion. We
definitely
respect everybody's views, man.
I definitely respect him because he puts up a good argument, and I learn from people that know a lot of stuff. I'm like, whoa,
Exactly.
But so in your perfect world, Christianity is the way to go.
No. This is I'm all for personal choice and spirituality. Me personally, I find that I've assimilated culturally and grown up with Christianity.
Cool.
And whether or not it's the right way, personally for me, it's a spiritual essence, and I feel it, and I can actually feel it. So that's the reason for me, and I just have a relationship, whether it's with Jesus Christ himself or if it's with just this overseeing deity, whatever it is. I just personally believe in spirituality.
And I agree with you.
I think Christianity is like the safest religion because they don't like beat the crap out of their wife if they, look at another guy or they don't have their thing on.
You've never been to the South.
Oh, you want to go?
No, that's not even like people. That's bullshit because people think that that's what Islam and Muslims are about. That's bullshit. It's not true. It's not true.
Well, if you want to go safer,
people can people love to talk about the Old Testament, when criticizing Christians.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
And the fact of the matter is the Old Testament is the Jews. In case you didn't notice, Christianity is about Jesus
the King
Christ.
of the Jews. That's on top of Jesus.
It is.
Cross.
He came to abolish Judaism and abolish religion. Christianity is not what you think it is.
Eddie and this guy would be a great debate.
Yeah, it would be a good show.
Jesus's point was to abolish Judaism, and it was to move forward, and he wanted you to have a relationship with Christ, and that's what the essence of Christianity is about. Just like the essence of Islam is not about the violence. It's not about the oppression of women. It's not about the burqas and
I never said all that, but
so do you think that all these like CEOs, all these presidents and stuff, do you think they really truly follow religion, or their religion is money, which is technically the devil?
No, it's the worship of a different god.
Different god. Okay.
We used to call the worship of money worshiping Moloch. You know what I mean? God, honestly, from an atheist point of view, God is nothing more than what you live your life for, okay? Whether you live your life for money, money is your God. If you live your life for sex, sex is your God. If you live your life for violence and destruction, is your God.
God equals variable, insert here. Pretty much to every person is going to be different, right?
You know what? In a lot of ways, yes, but personally, I believe that obviously money and sex and drugs and violence and all that stuff that some people do live their life for, it's like worshiping a false god, as it is put in Christian terms.
It's individualism, and it doesn't help anybody but yourself. And if we all think like that, we're all going to be at each other's throats, man. That's the sad part. It's like we can be happy, like Mike always says. We should be happy. There's nothing wrong with being happy. unfortunately, it shouldn't be at the expense of millions of people losing their jobs
and you know what? If
not
you
having
worship
food.
money, if you
murdered,
worship
and bombed.
all of this other stuff, I don't care. I love you. You know what I mean? That's what it's about for me. Is I just met you, Steve, and you,
Unconditional
Mike,
love,
but
you know,
I love you guys.
without
and it's not-
judging.
I thought it was another kind of love.
Love. I say that because it's not conditioned upon the other person. I love because I love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't put that condition on.
Well, that's what you
the other
want.
people
Well, the
say.
thing is, what you want in life, like my thing is it's very basic. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. I don't like being yelled at. I don't like being hit or whatever. Hey, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to hit you. Obviously, you can't. We're humans. You know, sometimes we're in bad moods. We haven't eaten or whatever. But I just feel like this country just needs to get back to the basics. We need to start actually not fearing each other. I feel like we're, you know, even in high schools, you see like, oh, there's the nerds. Oh, there's the jocks. Fuck all that. We need more unity. We need to start getting together, and we really need to start boycotting all these huge companies.
We do.
We need to start banding together, bringing more unity. And it seems like it's impossible, but honestly, just talking about it is enlightening so many people.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think we got to choose our words carefully because, you know, listening to politics, I picked up this word from Ron Paul. Instead of calling someone stupid or you're fucking dumb or you're a moron, just say that's silly, you know? Silly. It's like the friendliest word you could use. Other people are like, shut up. Just shut up, you idiot. So we all got to work together. But thank you guys for coming into the show, Chris. You know,
man, my pleasure.
You guys
Please,
are welcome
I hope
back.
I get to come back sometime.
Chris and Tucker.
Thank you.
And Steve.
Conjoined twins.
Chris, you're welcome to come back. You know what I mean? You know, wait, what? You're not allowed back.
Well, that's how we're going to do it. Thank you for tuning in at the Open Your Mind podcast show.
Yeah.
Keep it true, man.
Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Peace.
I'm surprised you want a pair of these.
Shut up.
I think we just